The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Step outside of your comfort zone. See the world with a whole new perspective. Join us and experience the unexplained on the Paranormal View.
And welcome everybody to the Paranormal View right here on the Para-X Radio Network. I want to thank everyone for being with us tonight. Those here in the chat room and those listening from around the world, we appreciate everybody. If tonight you do have questions, you can private chat them to either H. Foister or Ceiling Cat. We will get those answered for you. And Jeff hopefully will be back on here in a minute. He was on, and I think he dropped off. But if you're listening from somewhere else and you didn't want to come to the chat room, you can still ask a question by sending it to theparanormalview@gmail.com, and we will get those answered. With that, we got great guests lined up tonight, and we got with us Barbara Duncan.
I am here, and I forgot to remind you to start taping.
I was already taping.
Oh, okay. That's good.
I got it. And Jeff, are you back on yet?
Yeah, yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see how long I stay on.
All right. Yeah, you dropped off, or we could tell when that happened.
Yeah.
All right. We do have a great guest, and why don't, because, we got a good show lined up, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions tonight. Why don't you introduce our guest?
Yes, so tonight we have one of our favorite returning guests, Thomas Wertman, former Dean of the American National University, as a State Director at MUFON, and former co-director at, but still works with, the Cleveland Ufology Project. So welcome back, Thomas Wertman. Yay!
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Right. Of course, you know the drill because you're not new to this place. You're just practically, you might say, one of the gang.
I'm like the relative you can't get rid of.
All right, we got. I see that because I was on the site, a couple other sites too, for MUFON, and I see that most of the meetings and conferences have been canceled because of the coronavirus. How has the Corona-19 affected the sightings and reports of UFOs?
Well, you bring that up, and the other day, I was just out driving around because it's about the only thing you can do right now. My wife, she's got, has dementia, and one of the things I have to do is get her out of the house and just drive her around the area. So we hop in the car. And one of the things I noticed on her, Henry, is you look up in the sky and you don't see contrails. I mean, you think about last year or the other years, you would see contrails all over the place. And I didn't see a single one in like over an hour I was out. And I just pulled up some software I've got just to double check, flights in the area. And I'm seeing no commercial flights probably within like 50 to 70 miles. We're just not getting a whole lot of airline traffic in the region. And to reinforce that, one of the things I used to love to do is go out by one of the local airports, Cleveland Hopkins Airport. And I used to just love and park and just watch the airplanes coming in and out. Well, you can be out there now, and you can be sitting there quite some time, and you don't see a whole lot of traffic out there, air traffic. And if you look at the airport, and I'm sure it's not just Cleveland Hopkins, but when you check out the internet and check out how many aircraft are basically being parked and idle because of this virus situation. I counted like 40 plus aircraft alone just setting out at our local airport with the engines covered up, and they were basically like being stored there. And I think I saw a report the other day where there's like 800 aircraft worldwide were basically being parked because of not enough passengers right now.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a big thing.
Well,
with the virus situation.
There was a YouTube article across which I came about that this is probably the best time to book flights in the future. And in fact, a lot of airlines hoping to get some sort of, capital eventually. They're very lenient with change of schedule and or refunds if the lockdowns stay as draconian as they are, that eventually, they're like, oh, sorry, we still can't help you, so we'll let you reschedule further down the line. But apparently a lot of the fares are insanely low right now for reservations in the future.
I don't doubt that at all, because they were saying the number of aircraft. I mean, last time I flew, they're paying people to take another flight because they were being overbooked. Now their seats empty on aircraft and they're flying around because they just want to keep the aircraft flying.
Yeah, so my brother used to do that. When he lived in California and we were back in New Jersey, he would visit, but he would be flexible with his return. So we would go to the airport, and back then, this is pre 9/11, so you didn't have to, you could go right to the gate with your relative, and they would say, who wants to give up their flight and fly tomorrow, and we'll give you a voucher for a free flight. My brother would always volunteer. He'd come home for another night.
How'd that work out?
It worked out very well. He would pull it off a number of times. So he would get free flights in visiting.
Well, I'm asking, because I've been thinking about doing that a lot. If they'll give me a couple $100 in vouchers or something like that, maybe it might be worth it,
Hey, never can tell. That'd probably make it awful good if you're wanting to go out there to Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, exactly, Exactly. But it's changed a lot of that. I don't see the number of reports coming in on her, Henry, that are potentially aircraft, because, you've got such fewer flights out there right now.
Right. But I would say within the next 3 weeks, things are going to be kind of opening back up some. Do you see more air travel then?
Oh, yeah. I think people are getting buggy right now. I know I am. So I imagine other people are too. And there's going to be people who want to take that chance, that, okay, I'm on a plane, but it's only like an hour, a couple hours, something like that, to go on vacation, and they're going to want to go. I'm just in that age group where I'm hesitant right now about doing that.
Yeah.
It's bad enough just going to the grocery store and putting up with people that don't know about maintaining social distances. And I'd probably go nuts on an airplane. I'd be one of those passengers that would be arrested probably.
But it really must make it easier to detect and sort out UFOs.
It does.
That there are little things flying around, but not much.
Yeah, it does, Barbara, and that's where I've seen a big difference at. Before, I'd spend a lot more time researching. Did this person potentially see an aircraft, a life flight helicopter, something that has, of a man-made situation? A lot more emphasis. Now, I can go right into the map on there, and I can basically dial up the time frame I want. And it's like you're looking almost like blank sky most of the time. So if there's something in the air over there in that region that's got a transponder on it, it's going to make it easy to figure out, if it's man-made or not.
Now, with a lot of the pollution dying down, is it possible also that some people might be mistaken even seeing satellites?
Well, that's another thing. I was thinking about that the other day. When you look at the pictures, like out of India especially, how much difference it is. And even here, most people probably don't even notice it, but around our region, we still had a few of the factories, the older factories, that put out some of that nasty soot. Now you just don't see it. It makes it so much nicer on one hand. But the satellites, the ones we're getting a lot of, are the Elon Musk, SpaceX, Starlink satellites. I still get a number of those after every launch, because what Elon Musk is doing is he wants to put, I think the initial goal is like 1,000+ satellites up in space, and they're eventually going to form a chain almost like a train going around the world. And the whole idea is to get global internet communication. So when they launch a satellite, which there'll be another one probably here very shortly, I didn't look at the schedule, but it'll deploy 60 satellites, and they're just kind of squirt out about like eggs, one after the other one, when they deploy. And the magnitude brightness is like Venus when they come out. They're very bright.
Right. Yeah.
And they gradually work themselves up into a higher orbit. So until they get up in that higher orbit, they stay relatively bright, and we get a number of reports. And the good thing is MUFON's given me some latitude now on filling out reports, because the reports we have to do are fairly lengthy as far as an investigation goes. But now that if it's something that we're positive it's linked back to Starlink, we've got a much easier way to close those out now. It takes a lot less paperwork.
And that's what this last weekend I was initially looking out the window for. Was
I know.
To the southwest of me, or the southeast. You could visually see Starlink if you looked.
Yeah, and I've been trying to see them. I mean, right now we've got a cloudy night tonight, so chances are I won't be able to see anything like that if they're visible. But if you go to a website, your listeners go to a website called Heavens Above. If they go to that website, they can put in their location, and what they do is they've got a little map in there that you can click on. You don't have to know like longitude and latitude. You can just click on a general area, and it'll take in place the location of view at that region, and it'll give you a time frame down below if you scroll through a lot of different options. There's some down there where you can look for like the brightest satellites, visible satellites on that given day. And if you look down, you'll see a series of Starlink satellites, and now they've got it broken down on their Barbara so that it tells you like this is the 6th launch, the 5th launch, the 4th launch. It breaks it down by launch, and the higher number is the most current launch. And it'll display the time frames that they're visible in your region, if they are visible.
Well, with less pollution, the skies should be clearer at night. You should be able to see a whole lot more stuff other than just satellites also.
Oh, yeah. A whole lot.
Except for light pollution.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the only thing we run into here, because I'm in the close enough to the city. We get quite a bit of city lights.
Well,
Now, the astronomy club I'm part of, that's a whole different situation. You go down there, that's way out in the country. There's zero ambient light, so if you put your hand out in front of your face, Henry, and you go walking through the woods, you're going to hit a tree. You're not going to see your hand or the tree.
I could do that anytime.
Believe me, I did that one night. I'm like, yeah, I can see good enough at night. I'll walk back through these woods back to where my car is at. Wham!
Yeah, I know. And I'm doing that in the house. Even with lights on, I hit things.
But when you're down there at night, I mean, the sky is just incredible because you don't have any ambient lighting around that whole region.